Welcome back, everybody. This is the IRL channel, and this is going to be a little bit of a different video. For those of you coming from my Rocket League channel, you might know me as the Rocket League coach guy or the Rocket League YouTuber. For those of you who are coming from my IRL channel, you know me as the guy who talks about business, the guy who started the Rocket League coaching business. And this video is not going to be so much a business video. It's going to be a little different. Topic for this video is when to change, how to deal with negative feedback, and all of it. Candidly, this has been one of the hardest lessons for me to learn in business. And I definitely haven't learned it yet. I should say this has been one of the hardest areas for me to understand in business. To me, one of my strengths is the number stuff, the business things, the marketing, the sales. These like logical things are a little bit easier for me. But one thing that I've struggled with in the last 4 years, I started my company in 2021. I've been making YouTube videos for over a decade. One of the things I've really struggled with is the emotional side of business. Dealing with team members, good and bad, dealing with customers, upset customers, happy customers, upset customers, and people on the internet, haters, or people who have criticism just in general, even if they're not hating, even if they're like trying to be like constructive. And I'm going to talk about it today because I think it's actually one of the most important things. I wish I learned earlier, and I've made so many mistakes as far as when it comes to these things. I think for the longest time, I had this view that it was like this like twisted kind of like alpha male view of like haters gonna hate, haters focus on, or losers focus on winners, winners focus on winning. Right. And so whenever there would be a like negative event, maybe a team member would give me negative feedback, not an active team member, but somebody on their way out throwing feedback, which is its own thing. Or let's say somebody on the internet giving feedback that was negative. I would use this like alpha male, like I'm just going to focus on winning, I'm just going to do me, as permission to ignore what they said. And I think most of the time, focusing on you is the thing to do. But I think it's one of those things where it's a balance. Because if you don't listen to anybody else and you always just focus on you, you become this very ego-driven, unaware person. And I like to think of myself as somebody who's self-aware. I make these videos actually because I think teaching is the best form of learning, and I want to document these things so that I could help younger me, or maybe you, or even my future self learn these things. And I like to think that I'm aware of how people view me. I think it's important. But the interesting thing is, because I've taken this stance, or for the start of, let's say, it's only something I'm sort of changing now. Because for the first 4 years of being a business owner and founder and face, I took the stance of like, if somebody says something negative, I'm not going to respond. If somebody leaves a negative review online, I'm not going to respond. If somebody has something negative to say, I'm not going to respond. It's created this weird reality where people on the outside, I've put up this image. I've presented this image of somebody who doesn't care about these things, or I think the silence of it, my decision to just focus on myself, in certain cases, silence can be taken the wrong way. It's like, I don't care about these things, or I don't see these things. When in reality, there have been a lot of things over the last few years that I would like to have addressed. And honestly, I wish I would have addressed sooner. Because what's happened is, when you don't address those things, folks who are kind of in the middle are looking in and they're going, and what I realize now is they're looking in and they're going, why isn't this guy saying anything? I've had business mentors tell me, like, if people make something negative about you, if they swing at you, don't swing back. And that is true. Like, I don't think, what I'm not saying is go on, what I'm not saying my plan now is to go on the internet and exchange jabs with Reddit, because I don't think anybody's life got better by doing that. But what I am saying is, when people say things and there's something you do have to say about it, it's okay to respond. And this was something that I think for a while I haven't dealt with well. And so today I want to talk about it. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you a story. So when I started my business in 2021, I was a college student. I've been making gaming YouTube videos and teaching for over a decade because this is what I love to do. But I started really selling anything in 2021. For the year leading up to that, it was in COVID. My Rocket League had just gone free to play. I was making tutorials videos, so good time, good place. And my videos had just started to take off, right? And I had grown very fast, and all of a sudden people were asking for coaching. So I was doing one-on-one coaching. I started at $15 an hour, got up to $50 an hour, even $150 an hour. And I realized very quickly, like, oh shit, a lot of people want this. And also, I only have so many hours in the week. And so I started working with a business coach, which is another story that didn't end the best. But what I did learn from that experience was sales, and that I needed to build an actual product and sell it, rather than just selling one-on-one coaching. And so the first ever thing I built, I remember it was a $600 offer. I get on the phone and I'm like, and so the price is $600. And I'm kind of just, nervous. And they said yes. Like, I remember my first call ever. 20 more, some people said yes. And so the first thing I taught was a 6-week roadmap, me giving classes, sort of like college lecture, university style, to a group of about 20, 30 students with some one-on-one coaching and things mixed in. And that was where it started. But as demand grew and my audience went from 50K to 100K to 200K, the amount of people that wanted time in the roadmap, time with my team, time with me, it was insane. So it blew up to the point where we were enrolling hundreds of students per month. What do I have to do? I have to build a team. As that demand goes, I increase prices steadily. I build a team around it, and we grew. We fulfilled what I think was the first ever Rocket League training camp, the only one that I know that exists in the way that we've done it. And that's evolved into something we still do today. But over that time, definitely made some mistakes. Made some mistakes with scaling too fast. Made some mistakes with hiring the wrong people. Made some mistakes with more things that I can get into. And I'm aware of those things. But as the time went by, I never really addressed those things. I addressed them in small pieces here and there. But a segment, it's really what happened has been strange. People who've done it, people who are there's this weird thing going on. People on my YouTube really like my content. People who have bought any of our products, I would say for sure in the last 2 years, but still the overwhelming majority, let's say 95% plus, in the last 4 years, they love it too. There are some people that, when we scaled too fast, we didn't provide the best service for, and we definitely don't. And our service today is better than it ever has been. But in the middle, those few negative experiences mixed with people looking in, and the way that we were doing things, created this group in the middle of people who've heard about the community, heard about maybe coaching we sell, heard about boot camps we sell, heard about any of these things, and they have a really negative view. And I'm aware of this. The main things are, Luke is just focused on money. Luke is, just treats it like a business, et cetera, et cetera. Luke isn't focused on the community, helping people, whatever it may be. It's mainly about value, right? And that's where things about scamming come in. And I'm aware of this, that this feedback exists. And it's been really a tough thing to deal with. And I think I still don't know how to deal with, but it's been a very weird experience where this part of my audience loves me. Most of my, like 99%. The 0.001% who are in the community, in coaching, who've experienced it, have nothing but good things to say. I was talking with a student, and he goes, I can't believe people say these things online, etc., whatever. But then people in the middle, through these negative experiences, maybe team members, we end up parting ways, and they leave a bad review on the way out, and they throw shit at me on the way out. You mix that with a couple, we've worked with 3,000, 4,000 students. You mix it with a dozen students who haven't liked their experience, or frankly, a dozen students who haven't gotten a good experience. And there's this small segment that is very vocally against what we do, and against me and what I do. And some of it, is as deep as like, I don't like you, Luke. I don't like your values. And the funny thing is, I understand. I shouldn't say the funny thing is. The weird thing is, even though I don't necessarily agree with these things and agree with some of the narratives and the negative things that have been said about me, obviously I have my own biases, but I'd like to think I'm pretty self-aware. The thing is, I get why people say those things. Because if you look at the way that I've done business and the way that I don't respond, and the way that I haven't been transparent in some ways as a leader, even things as simple as, transparent with pricing, like not having pricing until you book a call, versus now we have pricing right on the calendar on the calendar page when you book, or on the website. It's like these little things. I see why you stack them together, and you stack them together over years, and you compound that with me not responding because I think that's the better whatever business move. Or like that's me taking the moral high ground. I think that's been a lot of it. And I get why people have this view. And so for a long time, I've struggled with, when do you change? When do you take feedback? How do you look at these things and make those changes? Especially when it's negative and it hurts your feelings. And what I've realized is just this whole like alpha male, focus on yourself, ignore what other people have to say. It works to a point. But when enough people are saying something, you have to look in the mirror and go, why are these people saying these things about me? And this is something that I've had to do some self-reflecting and go, okay, how do I change these things? Right? And I've been working on this specifically for the last, I would say over a year, 2 years. And finding the middle ground, right? Because people say things online like, you should charge this price. Right? I don't like that you charge this price, you should charge this price. And what they really mean by that is, I would prefer you sell something differently, or I don't understand what you sell, or I would prefer I could buy it at this price, right? And those things are less important, right? As a business owner, I know what I sell. When people say like, Luke, your coaching is, I can't believe your coaching is $1,500, or I can't believe your coaching is $500 or $300 or whatever tier, because we have community tiers that range from $20 to $100 a month, and we have coaching tiers that range from $300 to $1,500. Yeah, $1,500 for Rocket League coaching. When people say things like that and they're like, I can't believe it's so expensive, I go, yeah, it is expensive. I can't believe it either. You should have seen me when I was on the call for the first time saying this was $600. Now, I know that that's the value of it because what we provide, if you're getting 12 weeks of what our current offer is, unlimited coaching with a coach, and the people on our roster are like world champions, some of the best in the world, in addition to everything else we do, it's worth that and more. That's why hundreds of people, thousands of people do it. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is those things, price judgments where they don't have, where you might not understand the business. If you don't want that, that's not for you. That's okay. Like if you don't want to pay that, I get it. That's okay. It's not for you. But there are other things where people who haven't bought are looking in or giving feedback and they're going, I wish this was more transparent. I wish the price was here, was just listed here. That's the stuff where for a long time I ignored because I was like, they're just haters. But that's honestly, that's a mistake. That's not right. And those are things that I've changed and continue to take on. And so what do I want to say to my younger self? So what I'll leave you with is this, because I want to avoid rambling forever. Taking a negative feedback, especially online, like our brains aren't wired to do it at scale, right? Like it's a mess. This has been the hardest thing for me to do emotionally. And I think one of the reasons I swung so far to the left of like, just don't respond and don't say anything is because it's hard. It's because it's really hard to deal with. It's probably the hardest part about being, for me, about being a business owner and a leader and a face. I love making Rocket League videos. I love making YouTube videos. I love talking to the camera. I love building products. I love training people. I love building a team. I love building processes. I love this stuff. The other parts of the business, I am not as good at. I would say if you were just going to do a score of how I've performed in the last 4 years, I think my marketing and sales and energy and enthusiasm are so good that they compensate for me sucking at some of these things. And I've identified that as like a thing like in the last year or two that I need to improve. And I guess if you're watching this and you're looking in, I guess what I would say to you is like leadership and how you show up and reputation and the way you move it's so important. It's so important. And it's a lot of work to do. And I think maybe that's another reason I've avoided it, but it's worth doing. It's worth doing. And so yeah, those are just some of my thoughts on this. I might talk more about these things in future videos. I will talk more about these things in future videos, but if you're interested on any of these topics, whether you watch my Rocket League stuff, whether you watch my IRL stuff on business, or whether you just think I have a punchable face, I'm open to all of your feedback and maybe even some of your pitchforks. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.